Station. Churches in the area are finding ways to connect with the community.
These are very challenging times for everybody, for people who are used to worshiping together, serving God together. We have to get creative right now.
David Faust is the associate minister at East 91st Street Christian Church. Today, a small group met to create a prayer and music video for people of all faiths.
We recognize that not everybody worships God in exactly the same musical style. So we're creating a series of short 10-minute videos.
Faust says communion is a big part of their Sunday worship, so this weekend they'll host a drive-through station.
We will have some gloved volunteers, caring people, hand them, if they would like, a little communion set so that they can take communion on their own.
They're able to do that thanks to a Brownsburg business, World Communion Cups. The owner there says business has picked up over the past week or two as church leaders look for ways to stop the spread of the coronavirus.
We've been getting calls from all over the country. We are slammed right now with business. It's been this way for about 2 weeks. We've been working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But it's work both men say is needed right now as people turn to their faith during uncertain times.
God's people can meet the needs of others around them. We can point people to the hope that we have in the Lord. We can encourage one another and help one another in practical ways.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV 6.
Now, earlier this week, Catholic bishops in the state of Indiana canceled public masses until further notice. The Archdiocese of Indianapolis is encouraging parishes that can do so to stream their masses online. One of them is St. Christopher Catholic Church in Speedway. Father Jude Merrill says that said Mass this morning in an empty church, but you could watch and pray online. St. Christopher will be streaming the daily 9 a.m. Mass as well as masses on the weekend.
Hundreds of thousands of kids are out of school, and we learned today they will be for weeks. District staff are starting to get a little creative with how to support students and their families during this time. One Hendricks County school is providing meals in a way you can't miss if you drive by. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan explains.
There are just over 5,500 students in the Plainfield Community School District, and some of those kids depend on school for their daily meals. But since school is closed, the district has gotten creative with how they bring breakfast and lunch to any student that needs it. This is the Quaker Break food truck.
There you go, buddy. There's yogurt in there, too. We are serving peanut butter and Uncrustables, and with the allergies, it's ham and turkey, cheese, like a Subway sandwich. There you go, my dear. There you go. Enjoy.
And Pop-Tarts or yogurt for tomorrow morning's
and
breakfast.
They get cookies or chips.
The friendly faces in the window, Leanne and Tammy, both cooks for Plainfield Community School District.
Oh, I love this thing.
We love the bus. Yes, we love the bus.
You know, it was sitting there at the bus garage, and so why not put it to use serving meals?
The repurposed school bus is typically used as part of a life skills program for high school students.
They're learning customer service skills, how to greet somebody when they approach them.
But as COVID-19 causes closures, it's now the mobile feeding unit for Plainfield Community Schools.
Hi, guys. Everybody get one?
Families adjusting to e-learning, grateful for the food and a reason to step outside.
Sat at the kitchen table this morning. The lesson plan for my son was there a little after 8 o'clock. And we began right away. He's enjoying it, and we take a break about now. And
the bus is one of 4 vehicles circulating the district to feed thousands of kids stuck at home.
Thank you. You're welcome. Come back to see us tomorrow, okay? Careful. Okay.
But this one is definitely the most eye-catching.
There we go. I'll be over on our next stop.
Working for you, Alyssa Donovan, RTV 6.
And the district will be operating the mobile sack lunch service through next week. Then it's spring break, and after that, they will reassess. If you live in the district, you can find the schedule for all 4 of the mobile units on our website at theindychannel.com.
Back in the before time, before I licked your nose or sniffed your shoes, before you bought my bed and bowl, before the place you picked me out, I ran with a mob of mutts.
Wayne Township School Superintendent Dr. Jeff Butts is inviting kids to join him for a story during lunch on Tuesdays and Thursdays via his YouTube channel. It just started today. His wife will pick out a book for him, and he'll read it from one of their school libraries at noon and on Tuesdays and Thursdays for as long as school is out. His channel is Wayne Township Super, so you can subscribe. Now, Wayne Township staff are using the district empty buses to deliver meals to kids around the district every day. You can find the schedule on the district's website. And RTV6 is going to keep sharing stories of all the ways Central Indiana communities are working together during this tough time. But we do need your help. If you know of a group or person working to change lives as they navigate the coronavirus crisis, get in touch with us. Send an email to workingforyou@rtv6.com.
Still ahead at 5:30 on RTV6, a special half hour devoted to the coronavirus pandemic, how it's impacting communities across the country, and sorting out fact from fiction.
And just ahead here at 5, COVID-19 has hit 2 members of Congress. New precautions to tell you about at the federal level when it comes to the coronavirus itself and its impact on the U.S. economy.
And just issued that tornado watch I was talking about just south of the RTV6 viewing area, south of Vincennes to Bedford to Seymour line. There have been severe storms in Illinois. They're moving quickly to the east-northeast. What's ahead for you coming up?
0 first month's payment and 0 to its signing. Practically just sign then drive.
An improvement on Wall Street today. Stocks closed with solid gains after a rocky start this morning. The Dow closed up a little under 200 points. Investors may be cautiously optimistic after the Federal Reserve took steps to support the faltering economy in the wake of the coronavirus. And of the thousands of U.S. patients with COVID-19, 2 are now members of Congress. As Washington grapples with the staggering economic impact from the outbreak, the president revealing today more new steps to help the economy as tens of thousands file for unemployment benefits. ABC's Inez de la Cuerta is in Washington with the latest.
With the amount of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. now surpassing 10,000, the president zeroing in on how to help the economy recover.
When we do get rid of the virus, we're going to be able to just really, I think, go like a rocket. I think the economy is going to be fantastic.
Revealing he is working with the tourism industry.
We will be helping the airline industry. We will be helping the cruise ship industry. We probably will be helping the hotel industry.
And the president adding he would support restricting the ability of companies that receive government support to engage in stock buybacks.
It's very hard to tell them not to, but I would tell them not to.
After signing a $100 billion stimulus plan into law, the president is also pushing Congress to approve another $1 trillion package to help the economy, which could include 2 rounds of checks sent to most Americans. The first checks would be $1,000 per person, $500 per child, sent out on April 6. A second round of identical payments could be sent out on May 18.
The American people need help, and they need it fast. This will deliver it.
Even as 2 of their own test positive for the virus, Republican Mario Diaz-Balart and Democrat Ben McAdams, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are scrambling to pass that aid.
Our goal is to make sure that no one, no worker, no family, no one loses a paycheck or goes into financial ruin as a result of the coronavirus.
Unemployment numbers are projected to spike. Applications for unemployment benefits surging by 70,000 last week. With schools closed, this bus driver in Kansas was laid off.
I'm guessing somewhere between 4,700 and 5,200 bus drivers all of a sudden aren't working.
On Monday, the New York Stock Exchange is temporarily closing its floor. The markets will remain open, but traders will now work remotely from their homes and offices. Inez de la Cuerta, ABC News, Washington.
It is a Storm Team 6 alert day, and after a day of rain, Kevin is turning his focus to potential of severe weather and storms tonight and the arrival of spring, which is just hours away, Kevin.
11:50 tonight. Okay, let me mention here, Storm Shield app, it is free. It's a weather radio for your phone. If you lose power at home, as long as your phone is charged, you'll get warnings no matter the hour sent right to you, which could wake you up. Some overnight storms are possible for us. The tornado watch does not impact Central Indiana. Indiana. That doesn't mean our severe weather threat is non-existent. It leads, for now, in the short term, between now and midnight, greatest threat along Interstate 64 areas just north of that, but staying south of Bedford, Brownstown, Mitchell, and Seymour. Here's a line of storms, potent line of storms, moving to the east-northeast. That's likely to impact areas from Terre Haute to Sullivan to Vincennes within the next hour or so. Pencil thin line approaching Crawfordsville, Indianapolis, and Greensburg, non-severe but heavier rain. Feel the difference? Temperatures much warmer now than this morning. Look at southern Indiana, 69 in Evansville. You get down into Kentucky, it's in the 70s. That's part of the fuel for these thunderstorms. All of central Indiana with a slight or enhanced risk for severe storms through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Pick up the timeline, and if I have to draw a line, I would just say from Terre Haute to Indianapolis to Muncie, southeast will be the most likely area for the stronger storms, the heavier rain, and the flooding threat. There we are at 9 o'clock. First push of strong to severe storms moves through. Then as we go 11 o'clock into the overnight, there's another push basically over the same area, Terre Haute, Indy, Muncie, southeast, and then will make its move out of the state first thing on Friday morning. What replaces it? After a morning shower, look at how temperatures fall, 64 to 8 a.m., but dress for temperatures that will be in the 40s as you come home from work later in the day. That will set up what will be a cooler weekend, too. The wind will be strong, gusting to 30 miles per hour through the day Friday. Forecast then, intensifying thunderstorms with greater coverage early tonight. Falling temperatures tomorrow as we dry out. Chance for any rain on Sunday, just 20%. The same on Monday. Temperatures back in the 60s with a daily chance of rain Tuesday through Thursday.
Kevin, thank you. Divorced parents navigating coronavirus in the best way possible for their kids. How some moms and dads are getting through these days.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
Coronavirus concerns are making things especially tough on divorced parents. RTV6 reporter Kara Kenny joins us now with how some families are getting through this time and what family law attorneys say you should do.
Normally, the city-county building here in Marion County would be hustling and bustling, but right now the courts are only handling essential hearings, which means many divorced parents are left to figure things out on their own.
Being divorced during this situation takes a lot more coordinating, I think, than for families who are in the same home.
Kelly Hage is a divorced mother with 2 children. She shares 50-50 custody with her ex-husband. In their arrangement, they swap every couple of days. But her ex just had surgery and was hospitalized for months. And she wants to make sure everyone stays healthy and honor their arrangement at the same time.
But right now, we are still planning on starting our normal custody this weekend. So because we can just walk them over, it's a little bit easier. But if my kids have symptoms, he's not going to be seeing them. My daughter actually had strep, and I can't risk exposing him to those kind of illnesses because he just can't get back in the hospital.
Yes, parents need to be expecting a delay, and that's why we're encouraging being reasonable, modeling healthy behavior, trying to stay healthy. The courts have already shut down to essential hearings only for the most part. It's county by county. There's discretion of the judge, but I've already had even some emergency hearings that have been continued out, and we don't know when they'll be rescheduled.
Family law attorney Cassie Ringelspa says if a parent becomes infected with the coronavirus, then the other parent should let that parent make up their parenting time. Many courts are only accommodating emergency hearings right now, including paternity and family law. But Marion County is working to accommodate families through video conferencing when possible. Marion County Judge Heather Welch says she's been doing family law for 19 years, and now is the time to work together. Reporting in Indianapolis, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
All new at 6 p.m., a company that cares for high-risk Hoosiers needs help. They're hiring and asking those who were recently laid off to apply.
But first, next at 5:30, the first edition of a new daily half-hour devoted just to the coronavirus pandemic. Information you need to maneuver financially, emotionally, and professionally in this new reality.
Take 3 years to pay, only at Ashley Home Store.
Welcome to Coronavirus The Rundown. I'm Chris Stewart. Each day during this show, we'll look at the unique ways the coronavirus emergency is impacting American communities. We'll also help clarify the flood of headlines that come out each day. And today's big headline is all about money. On to phase 3. The White House eyeing the next step in its coronavirus pandemic response.
The ayes are 90, the nays are 8. The bill is passed.
It's planning a package that's bigger than the one the Senate passed late Wednesday. That one made testing free. It'll also provide some workers with paid sick and family leave. The bill also boosts spending on Medicaid, food stamps, and unemployment benefits.
I want to thank all Americans for pulling together, for coming together, for doing what they have to do. It's been incredible. It's been inspirational.
Leaders on both sides of the aisle agree it is crucial they work together on solutions. Wall Street on a wild ride. It's been up and down, and experts say we shouldn't expect that to change. One piece of advice, maybe don't check the 401k. Main Street is feeling the fallout too. Businesses are closed or are only open limited hours. Many are shaving off payroll costs to compensate. The Economic Policy Institute estimates the emergency will claim 3 million jobs by summer.
Small businesses are calling into my office one after another. The people are not going to the barber shops, they're not going to the restaurants are being shut down, etc. We are seeing a massive collapse in the economy around this country.
The Fed hoping to help. It's helping bolster a program to get loans to struggling small businesses. And we mentioned phase 3 of the White House's response plan, but you are more likely to hear leaders refer to it as something like sending Americans cash. The Treasury Department is asking Congress to approve a $500 billion stimulus. It would put cash into Americans' pockets with 2 checks. A lot of the details are up for debate, including just how much each check would be. The Treasury wants a tiered payment system with requirements. Those checks would go out on April 6th. And May 18th. The phase 3 proposal also includes $300 billion in small business loans, $50 billion for airlines, and $150 billion for what they consider severely distressed industries.
And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
Congress is also expected to shift its attention to the next phase of relief legislation. Money is a big source of uncertainty and stress with this coronavirus. Alicia Nieva is asking what it means for retirement plans.
The coronavirus pandemic has sent the U.S. financial markets on a downward spiral. Last week, the Dow Jones saw its biggest single-day drop in history.
A lot of people are scared. They don't quite understand what they're seeing, especially the average investor who is not following day to day.
Working from home like many right now, Kelly Lannon with Fidelity Investments spoke with us, saying most people looking at their 401ks who are rightfully worried have to be careful making their next move.
Market volatility can really be nerve-wracking.
Fidelity is advising the best move right now for most is actually no move at all.
It is really a good idea to stay the course. I don't know if you've seen this lately, Alicia, but I've seen on Instagram the whole don't touch your face, don't touch your 401k. I know it's meant to be a joke, but take that seriously.
We know from behavioral finance that people make very, very bad decisions when they panic.
Bob Stammers is with the Charter Financial Analyst Institute. He reiterates holding on to your investments because selling off your stocks could be the worst thing you do now.
If they do sell, they're going to be selling in a bad market. They're basically going to be doing what people tell you not to do, which is sell low and then buy high when the market comes back, right?
Historically, the market always rebounds. In 2008, it took 5 years. In 2015, about 13 months. Experts say over time, even with major downswings, those who stay invested still see an annual 8 to 9% return on average.
People didn't think we were going to get through that 2008 crisis. Remember? Yeah. I mean,
it took a while, though.
60%. They said, that's it. This is never coming back. It's never going to be like this again. And then after it did come back, the return on the market was like 17%.
The stay the course advice applies to most, those who have time to wait out the market. But if you are closer to retirement or in it, you may want to get individual advice from a financial professional who is a fiduciary, someone legally required to put your interest over theirs. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Alicia, thank you. And while some people are stocking up on products like toilet paper and hand sanitizer, experts say people should be stocking up on emergency savings. Experts recommend having 3 to 6 months of savings on hand at any time. But that's not an option for almost half of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck. Now, the coronavirus emergency is making money tight for even more people. Experts say saving any amount is helpful. Here's Annie Taylor.
For a lot of people, savings can be stressful. So experts say don't necessarily focus on a dollar amount. Focus more if you're new on creating healthy habits to start. Once that habit is established, experts have a few suggestions that make saving money easier. One major step is to create an emergency budget. That means trimming all excess spending and putting that money into savings. Experts say to follow this as long as you can or until you have at least 3 months' income saved up. You can also automate the process. If you have direct deposit, you can make it so part of your paycheck goes into a savings account automatically. But if you don't want to mess with that, you can set up auto transfers on your bank's website or app. Another suggestion for saving is more aggressive, but could help in a major pinch. Reduce 401k contributions temporarily and put that money into savings instead. There are many factors in that decision, and experts say it shouldn't be made lightly. Now, if you do have savings already and you're not sure if it's safe, experts say it is safe in the bank. Don't take it out of the bank. It'll be just fine right where it is. I'm Annie Taylor reporting.
Annie, thank you. And it may not be a surprise to hear this, that the prices of surgical masks and hand sanitizer spiked on Amazon in February.
There might be small increases for hand sanitizer as demand spikes, but when you're talking about an increase at times of 200, 300, 400%, or products selling for $400 for a small thing of hand sanitizer, that is someone taking advantage of someone's need.
Consumer watchdog, the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, studied the prices and it found price gouging among third-party sellers and on items sold directly by Amazon. Now, there are some challenges in regulating it because price gouging laws are different by state. Amazon says it's removed more than 1 million price gouged products and is working with authorities. The watchdog group says this was predictable and never had to happen.
And their attempts to play whack-a-mole by dealing with price gouging on a one-on-one basis is not sufficient to protect their consumers. And so they really need to get ahead of this by preventing price gouging from happening in the first place, by putting hard price caps in place on spikes.
There are price tracking tools to see if a product price has spiked. U.S. PIRG also recommends paying attention to the unit price to see if it's more expensive. Amazon's removing the buy now option on products that might be price gouged. You can still purchase them through a regular transaction. Hospitals across the country have plans for scenarios like the ones that we're in right now. Kristen Hartman found how healthcare facilities use UV light to keep people safe.
You hear it all the time now. Wash your hands. Keep a buffer zone of 6 feet between you and other people. It's all to protect you. But in the halls and rooms of a hospital like St. E's, the basics aren't enough. The infectious disease response team there has been practicing a plan for years.
I come here every day and I have a family at home too, that I care deeply about. But I trust in my coworkers. I trust that the hospital has given us the tools that we need to protect everybody.
Peace of mind comes in layers. Environmental Services Director Matthew Patterson says the crews at St. Elizabeth use this patented vacuum to suck up particles as small as 1/100th of a human hair. The target is dust, he says, can harbor pathogens.
On a daily basis, we vacuum every patient room, floors and ceilings.
He also says twice a shift they use an electrostatic sprayer to apply an EPA CDC-approved germicide in common areas and places like the ER. And then there's this. UVC technology. They use it in isolation rooms and on every wheelchair or other way to move patients around. Patterson demoed it for us.
What is it that I smell in here? It smells...
So it almost smells like a tanning bed.
Yeah.
So that means that it did its job. It burned up any microorganisms that are in this room.
It's all about killing viral material that might be lurking. After deep cleans, they test surfaces to make sure the processes worked.
Okay.
All right, Kristen, thank you. Now, coronavirus is changing daily life for Americans everywhere in unique ways. Our partners at Newsy introduce us to a single mom who explains how her life has changed.
My name is Beverly Kane. Just about every single aspect of my life and each one of my 3 kids' lives have been affected as a single working mom that is now working at home with all my children also now at home. Please eat the food in my fridge before I have to throw it out.
Wait, you said you want...
Keeping the 2 refrigerators full now that I have 4 people in the house, feeding 3 teenagers day in and day out. Is this Zoom connection good for you? As an executive leadership coach, I am on my laptop 8 hours a day. All 3 of my children who are now also going to be online at the same time in each bedroom on a laptop. I'm hoping that the internet will be able to hold all of us. I live in Scarsdale. My office basically asked me not to come in anymore because they saw that circle in New Rochelle, and that whole temple in New Rochelle was connected to our temple in Scarsdale. At that moment, we realized that this isn't something that's just gonna, go away by the end of the month. The question marks are everybody's biggest fear. So I think if we can all just kind of, come together and keep this attitude of helping each other out versus being against each other, then to me, that's the best thing that can come out of this.
Major questions about what coronavirus means for the 2020 election.
One of the biggest questions is going to be, what are my alternatives?
The changes advocates say are key to making sure people still show up at the polls in November. The coronavirus pandemic has thrown a wrench into the 2020 election. Several states have postponed primary elections and more could follow suit. Amanda Brandeis explains how this could cause a historic change in November.
It's so important that you get out there and make your voice heard.
Ali Abu-Qader spends a lot more time thinking about elections than the average college graduate.
Oh, the ultimate importance. Voting is your voice.
On Super Tuesday, he volunteered to monitor polls at churches and rec centers throughout Southern California. Those places now shut down to stop the spread of COVID-19.
As I guess the fear of coronavirus kind of heightens, it's important that other states and counties here in California consider more vote by mail, making voting a little bit more accessible.
I think for a lot of our registrars and election officials, they have been through some processes where they're planning for emergencies. COVID-19 is adding a whole nother layer.
Kathy Fung is executive director of California Common Cause, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to making voting more accessible. With 30 states in the network, their election protection hotline is being flooded with calls.
State by state, one of the biggest questions is going to be, what are my alternatives?
A newly proposed bill in Congress would give all Americans the right to vote by mail if 25% of states declared an emergency related to the coronavirus. It would provide $500 million to fund the vote by mail efforts. But making that change quickly won't be easy.
If states want to turn more to mail-in by the fall, they have to do an aggressive campaign and put the money into it to be sure everybody gets one, and then you remind them to send them back in.
Political science professor Carl Luna believes Congress should funnel money into dealing with these issues, just as it is into the economy.
Elections have to happen. Congress could postpone the November election, but by January 20th, the president under the Constitution is out of office, and you need to have a replacement in place.
If the general is postponed, it would be a first in American history.
If we could do it during the Civil War, we could do it now. We just need the resolve and the funding to do it.
Until then, voting advocates like Ali remain committed to helping Americans navigate the uncharted road ahead. Reporting in San Diego, I'm Amanda Brandeis.
Amanda, thank you. And advocates worry that coronavirus will prevent older Americans from voting this year. It is a key demographic on Election Day. States are moving polling locations away from vulnerable populations. Advocates say they hope leaders make sure older people still have access to polls.
There are, unfortunately, some folks that are saying stay home. Why should you go out and vote? It's not healthy to do that. And I think that that's a concern, especially on social media. And we need to make sure that everybody is encouraging those in their family to vote.
Advocates say states should expand early voting and vote by mail programs. A man in quarantine for more than 4 weeks because of coronavirus.
No one entered my room without wearing a full hazmat suit. It was like Neil Armstrong landing on the moon.
He walks us through the experience next.
Nissan Altima.
Welcome back to Coronavirus The Rundown. I'm Chris Stewart. People are in quarantine across the country, either during treatment or to help stop the spread. Amanda Brandeis talked to a man as he waited for the all clear.
Goldman and his wife Jerry couldn't have written a more perfect script for the first 15 days of their Southeast Asia cruise. But the last day marked the beginning of an unpredictable story.
We were fortunate because we had a mini suite, so we had a balcony and could look out at the craziness out there, which was like a scene out of the movie The Andromeda Strain, with 60, 70, 80 ambulances at each time pulling up. The media was all around.
They were among thousands of passengers quarantined on the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan. One passenger tested positive for coronavirus and hundreds more followed.
We made the best of it over the 12 days and decided to go public with it at the time and received, a tremendous response.
Eventually, a military plane evacuated passengers back to the United States. But on the flight, Carl woke up with a fever. He tested positive with the virus, and doctors sent him to a Nebraska hospital biocontainment unit that looked similar to this one.
No one entered my room without wearing a full hazmat suit. It was like Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, with the air filters tied in behind them and duct tape so that nothing could leak out, 3 layers of gloves.
Now in another hospital room, Carl's on a regimen of ibuprofen and Gatorade. With his symptoms nearly gone, Carl now waits.
This is how they hand me my results, on a Post-it note. So that was my test there, and you can see the NP, meaning the nasal passages. Those were positive. The good news is my throat was negative.
I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Amanda, thank you. And we can tell you that this week, Carl went home coronavirus free. He wrote on his blog that it was almost a strange experience to walk in open space after spending more than 4 weeks in quarantine. Well, we are getting stories about the helpers in this emergency. Next, the mission to feed entire families fueled by volunteers.